Paul and Joshua happening in December? Anything, any prediction on how it will go? Yeah, if it's not handicapped, Anthony Joshua will knock him out.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
I respect them both. It's not a fight I even thought of. I mean, it's nothing to do with me to start with. I mean, it come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, I think, he's had a lot of criticism about he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but, and he's fighting as a pro.
The rules, 10-ounce gloves. So they're the little ones that I knock people out with. And when AJ's got them on, trust me, you can feel them knuckles through the gloves. Big heavyweight with the same size gloves as what I had on. So it's not 14 or 16 ounces what you spar in.
Shannon Sharpe has confronted Jake Paul live on air for fighting Anthony Joshua. Imagine the chaos. It feels like one of those moments that gets replayed for years. Jake Paul has been carving out a weird and wild path from YouTuber to boxing headliner. The idea of him taking on Anthony Joshua is already massive news. People are debating whether it is brilliant matchmaking or a circus act. The hype surrounding the fight, the excitement generated by Netflix, and the intense demand for tickets are all contributing factors. All of that is the context that makes a confrontation like this feel so combustible. Now add Shannon. He is a Hall of Famer, a voice that demands respect in sports rooms. He did not get to where he is by accident. He has opinions, and he backs them up. So when a host like him sees what he perceives as disrespect to the tradition of the sport, he does not whisper. He speaks loudly. That is the emotional motor of this whole scenario.
I think Anthony Joshua won the gold medal. Didn't he win the gold medal for the super heavyweights in the Olympics?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know Anthony Joshua's history, but I'm thinking about ring experience. That's pretty much it. And I commend Jake Paul for what he's done. I commend him for the work he's put in and how serious he's taken the sport. From going from a YouTuber and actually taking it seriously and dedicating his life to boxing and entertaining, in his own lane and creating a lane for himself in the sport. So you can't handicap a fight like this too, huh?
He won the gold medal in the 2012 Olympics in London.
Yeah.
And the super heavyweight, same one Klitschko, the same one.
Yeah. How does a live confrontation like this even ignite? First, Jake does what Jake does. He trash talks. He markets. He lights social feeds on fire. Sometimes he crosses lines intentionally or not. He calls out legends. He brags about wins. And he positions himself as the biggest name in boxing right now. That swagger can feel earned to his fans and infuriating to purists. Then Shannon stands up, and the room goes still. Sharpe's outburst was not random. It was layered. First layer, protect the sport. There is a sincere case that boxing is not only entertainment. It is hard work, lineage, and risk. Fighters like Anthony Joshua have put time and blood into building a career. When a personality jumps into that universe and gets a seat at the main event table fast, it can feel to some like the craft is being trivialized. Shannon's voice often carries that protective, almost parental tone for sports he loves. That gives his words weight, second layer, personal accountability. Shannon does not let bluster slide. If Jake has been provocative, if he has said things that seem to disrespect fighters or downplay the danger of the ring, Sharpe will call it out. And he did. Imagine the cadence, a raised voice, a pointed question. Then there's the line everyone remembers. This is bull. It is the rare live moment that makes even casual viewers lean forward. People replay it because it feels like honesty with volume. What happens after is the real story. Social feeds erupt. Fans take sides. Some praise Shannon for defending the sport. Others say he is old school and needs to get with the times. Jake supporters argue that he brings eyes, new money, and a fresh audience to boxing. And that tension between respect for tradition and commercial evolution is the conversation every mainstream fight creates nowadays. You do not need to pick a side to feel the electricity. Here is what this clash makes clear. Boxing now sits at a crossroads where legacy fighters, celebrity boxers, streaming platforms, and viral moments all collide. A single live confrontation can become shorthand for the entire debate. Did the sport win because it is in the spotlight? Or did it lose something when the narrative shifted to clicks and heat? That is the debate fans will be having while they wait for the bell to ring. At the end of the day, moments like this do one thing great. They get people talking. They push the needle on what big fights mean in 2025. Whether you think Shannon was right to call it out or Jake was right to keep the show moving, the snippet of chaos is a reminder that boxing is alive. It is messy, it is emotional, and when sports and media collide, sparks fly. The fight was the subject of social media rumors for a few days prior to the official confirmation. Few believed Jake Paul would take on a former two-time heavyweight world champion until it was confirmed he's set to clash with Anthony Joshua in Miami, Florida, on December 19th. Last week, Logan Paul crossed paths with UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier while both were recording podcasts in the same building. Seizing the moment, Jake Paul's older brother grilled Cormier about the upcoming Anthony Joshua bout. After learning that the strange Netflix discrepancy was real, DC appeared to experience every emotion. Logan informed Cormier that the rumors about his brother's next battle were accurate. Cormier added, "There's got to be some rules in place for Anthony Joshua. This is where people are beefing up, especially these MMA dudes. I keep saying, stop treating Jake like he's not a boxer. It's been 5 years now of pure boxing with great coaches and great training partners. He's gotten a lot better. He can fight, man." Logan interjected, "Yeah, but what about Anthony Joshua?" "That's bad, bro," Cormier replied, sending everyone in the room into hysterics. Since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September 2024, Anthony Joshua has not engaged in combat. Nevertheless, the 36-year-old is utterly certain that he will make a stunning comeback when he takes on Jake Paul next month. After their match was officially scheduled, Joshua declared he would destroy the internet by eliminating his 121 opponents. "Jake or anyone can get this work. No mercy," the British boxing legend said in a press release. He added, "I took some time out, and I'm coming back with a mega show. It's a big opportunity for me whether you like it or not. I'm here to do massive numbers, have big fights, and break every record whilst keeping cool, calm, and collected. Mark my words, you'll see a lot more fighters take these opportunities in the future. I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face." Meanwhile, Tyson Fury's prediction for Anthony Joshua's upcoming boxing showdown against Jake Paul, which is just 1 month away, has surfaced online. Fury, Joshua's distant opponent, said to the Ring magazine, "I think Jake Paul knocks him out. I think that AJ is a spent force, and I think Jake Paul is on the rise. I like his new heavyweight look. He is a bit chubby, a bit bulky. He is getting there." At 28, Paul has mostly competed at cruiserweight. But last November, he stepped into heavyweight, the division favored by legend Mike Tyson, and won a points decision over the 58-year-old former champion. The American is set to take on AJ, 36, in a heavyweight showdown in Miami on the 19th of December. The bout is scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds with both fighters using standard 10 ounces gloves. Joshua will be limited to a maximum weight of 245 pounds the day before the fight. AJ is still connected to a much-anticipated bout with 37-year-old fellow countryman Fury, whom Joshua has previously been on the verge of facing. Even now, Fury's future in boxing is uncertain. He officially retired in January following a second consecutive defeat to Alexander Usyk. Though the Gypsy King has announced his retirement multiple times before, Paul was scheduled to face unbeaten lightweight champion Gervonta Davis on November 14th, but the fight was called off following an investigation after Davis was accused of battery by an ex-girlfriend. Paul and his business partner, Nikki Sabadarian, the CEO of Most Valuable Promotions, listed several fighters who agreed to face Paul afterward, including AJ, while stating that Fury's half-brother, Tommy, had declined the opportunity. Tommy said, "Offering me the fight in America, a place you know I can't get to right now. Convenient. Offer me the same $15 million anywhere else in the world, and I'll be there in 8 weeks to shut you up and repeat what I did the first time." Tommy Fury, who outpointed the American in 2023, is still the only person to have defeated Paul. Meanwhile, British boxing legend Carl Froch delivered a scathing verdict on Anthony Joshua's career, claiming the former heavyweight champion's prime is over, even if he dominates Jake Paul. Froch remarked on his YouTube channel that he wondered whether this damaged AJ's legacy and, although he did not want to be horrible, questioned what legacy AJ actually had. He went on to say that to him, AJ's legacy was bringing boxing back into the spotlight and filling stadiums repeatedly, perhaps 4 or 5 times. He pointed out that he himself had done 80,000 at Wembley in 2014 and argued that AJ had taken off from what others had catalyzed. Froch noted that his and George Groves's Wembley show had been a post-war attendance record and that AJ had carried that momentum forward. He conceded that AJ had been involved in big fights and that the public had backed him, and that after coming off the canvas against Vladimir Klitschko, he had been catapulted to success. However, Froch added, when AJ stepped up to the elite level, he was found wanting even at a mediocre level. Citing the Andy Ruiz defeat, he was badly beaten that night. He recalled that AJ lost twice to Alexander Usyk and was flattened by Daniel Dubois, which in Froch's view had been the end of him and had happened more than a year earlier. Froch contends that Joshua is simply cashing in on opportunities in what he calls the clown world. With both the British star and Paul set to rake in millions from their matchup, he remains skeptical that Joshua has truly cemented his legacy in boxing's Hall of Fame before hanging up his gloves.
Consider, is AJ cashing out? Well, I did say a year ago when he got splattered by Daniel Dubois that he's finished now. He won't get that confidence back. He's not had any confidence, in his head. No belief for a long time. And I don't think he can get back to world levels. There's a couple of new young guns now coming up and coming through. It's like a changing of the guard. And when Usyk retires, I don't know what Daniel Dubois is going to do next, but what Daniel Dubois did to him, then he went on and lost to Usyk. But there's a few new heavyweights coming through, Moses Atalma, just to mention one. And you wouldn't start putting AJ in with any of these young up-and-comers that can punch hard, because I just don't think he's got the chance, because the ambition and the desire is going to be gone. So AJ most definitely is cashing out, and you can't fault him. Fair play to him. He's going to get a massive payday, maximise his exit route.
Froch added that for him, AJ's legacy would be what he had done for boxing, bringing the sport back to the general public and attracting crossover armchair fans. He said people came to watch AJ not necessarily because they loved boxing, but because they wanted to be part of a big event and a massive occasion, which was great for the sport and put eyes on boxing. However, Froch argued that that was AJ's legacy and that he had not had a Hall of Fame career. He stressed that to deserve the Hall of Fame, one needed back-to-back world title defenses and success against elite-level opponents, and that this should be acknowledged without it being a slight on AJ. He conceded that the Paul fight did damage the legacy a little because, in his view, AJ was fighting in the clown world, but noted it was big money and that AJ was cashing out, and added that overall that came at considerable detriment to his legacy. Despite the vast difference in class and experience, David Benavidez has praised Paul for stepping up to such a formidable challenge. While Joshua is widely expected to handle his inexperienced opponent with ease, I give 100% respect to Jake Paul, but that's a dangerous fight for him. He probably gets knocked out. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not saying anything bad, but Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua, said Benavidez when speaking to Fight Hub TV. He added that he's a multiple-time champion and an Olympic gold medalist. The last time somebody stepped in the ring with him that didn't have that much boxing experience was Nanu, and you've seen what happened to him. But big respect to Jake Paul. It's going to be a good card. It's a big fight, and it's a good fight, man. I mean, I give 100% respect to Jake Paul for even taking that fight. On the other hand, Lawrence Akoli has offered Jake Paul his services before his fight with Anthony Joshua in December. The former cruiserweight world champion, who has sparred extensively with AJ during his time as Joshua's manager, now aims to help Paul stay competitive in the ring. I want to go and help Jake Paul and give him a chance. I want to go out there to Puerto Rico. The offer is there, Akoli said Tuesday from his training base in Dubai, he added. I know I have a fight coming up, but I'll go out for a couple of weeks. I want to know what it is. That's allowed, Jake Paul said to himself. I'm going to get in there with a 250 pounds muscle man from England. This big guy, Olympic gold, former heavyweight world champion, 2 times in front of millions of fans on Netflix. I need to know. Maybe he's got a secret that I don't know, but I want to know before the fight. Oki, now a bona fide heavyweight and the WBC's top-ranked contender, holds the rare distinction of having sparred with both Paul and Joshua over the years. While he isn't backing Paul to take the win, Akoli believes the American could still give Joshua a few headaches in the ring. His real challenges, however, will begin if he manages to find any success against the 36-year-old, who stands 6 feet 6 inches and is expected to weigh over 250 pounds on fight night. He added, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not a crazy difference in size, skill, and all different ways. But you know what? Crazier things have happened, so let's just see. When asked if he sees Joshua, a man with 25 knockouts and 28 professional wins, Finishing Paul in the opening round, Akoli disagreed. He said, "For some reason, I don't think so. From what I've gathered of AJ, I don't think he's going to go hit him with a massive right hand and end it in 30 seconds. I do think, though, if Jake Paul starts touching him, it will be like, okay." Oki said that when you spar someone who isn't quite on your level, you can gauge how much to put into shots and decide to slip, and noted that AJ hadn't been in the ring for a while and might be using the fight as an exercise. He added that if Jake Paul clipped him and didn't take him out the first time he landed a hard shot, that was when it would get interesting. Though he conceded that crazier things had happened and he wasn't sure. He said, "I think AJ has reached his size. So unless you pick very clever punches without getting pushed off, then it'll be difficult to get a rhythm going. That's his biggest challenge. We don't know what his coaches are seeing and thinking or why they decided they want Anthony Joshua. Maybe they're seeing something that none of us can see. We will find out soon enough." At one point, Akoli even insisted he could never fight Joshua because his mother wouldn't allow it given how much Joshua had done for his career. Oki laughs at the memory now. He said, "Well, she'd allow it now. Put it that way, she would now. I wouldn't say she's gone off AJ. She's just more on me. It would be the ultimate Nigeria headliner." Now it seems like Anthony Joshua has put himself in a no-win situation, says Johnny Nelson. Nelson told Sky Sports News, "It sounds like there are 50 million reasons why Anthony Joshua is taking this fight. In my head, I never ever thought this fight would happen." "Why?" "Because of Anthony Joshua's desire to be in the history books and a 3-time champion of the world. To me, it shows me his desire. This is now business." He added, "The weight limit is 245 pounds for Joshua. So, I think the last time Anthony Joshua weighed around that was when he fought Usyk. That means he's got to be fighting fit and on point because in his last fight he was 254 pounds against Daniel Dubois. It's not tiddlywinks. This is a fight. It's not a push and a pull. Remember, with McGregor and Mayweather, if this is a real legitimate fight, Jake Paul is super brave, and it'll be interesting to see." Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn has stressed that this will be a genuine contest with both fighters set to wear 10-ounce gloves, the standard size used in professional heavyweight bouts. Nelson said, "I do believe it will be because AJ is involved. AJ will take enough stick for this, but money talks. AJ is in a no-win situation. If he goes in there, Jake Paul lasts the distance. What does that tell you about AJ? If he goes in there and knocks him out, then you would say that's to be expected. There's probably not much glory apart from the haters of Jake Paul saying, 'I've got rid of this kid.'" Nelson said that Jake Paul had now gained everyone's attention and would have to back up his boasts. He explained that while people can play sports like football, golf, and tennis, boxing is not something you can play. He suggested that most viewers would be watching in the hope of seeing Paul finally get his mouth shut and that they would be hoping the best version of Anthony Joshua showed up. According to Nelson, if that version appeared, it would be a comfortable and satisfying night for boxing purists. However, if any other version of Joshua turned up and he ended up struggling with Jake Paul, then Joshua would need to reflect on whether he had become more of a businessman, essentially a bounty hunter and prize fighter, than a boxer. Joshua hasn't fought since his stunning knockout defeat to Dubois in their IBF World Heavyweight title clash last September. And Nelson now questions whether the former 2-time champion can ever recapture his peak form. Anthony Joshua's days of becoming world champion have gotten slimmer and slimmer, and the chances have gotten smaller and smaller, said Nelson. He added, "The biggest fight out there, apart from Jake Paul, is probably Tyson Fury. He's making more money and making more headlines than any world champion out there, and he's not even boxing for the world title." Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua have both taken advantage of a situation that is the state of boxing as it is today. Nelson said that Anthony Joshua had been knocked out by Daniel Dubois and that one would expect him to immediately want to get back in the ring to prove he was better, but he had not expressed that. He suggested Joshua might be thinking that his best days were probably behind him. And although he would never say that publicly, he needed to make the best of what he had left. Nelson added that while Joshua used to be the best in the world as a heavyweight champion, by agreeing to fight Jake Paul, he must know he would receive criticism from some traditional fans, yet the bout could generate around £50 million plus. And if Joshua knocked Paul out, he could move on. He argued that anyone honest with themselves would not turn such an opportunity down, and that Joshua should take the fight and get on with his business. Meanwhile, promoter Frank Warren insists Anthony Joshua's showdown with Jake Paul has car crash written all over it. Warren told ESPN that it was a very big moment for Paul and that Paul was a massive underdog, so everyone would expect the result to be a foregone conclusion. He said the fight looked like a car crash waiting to happen, but that people would still watch and that it would attract huge viewing figures. Warren added that Joshua was taking the money and choosing a safe option, and that he would much rather see Joshua in the ring with Moses Adama.
Both. It's not a fight I even thought of. I mean, it's nothing to do with me to start with. I mean, it come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, I think, he's had a lot of criticism about he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but, and he's fighting as a pro. They said it's about time he fought some. I've seen some of the stuff, that been said. When's he going to fight someone? Well, he's gone from one extreme to the other. That's what he's doing. So if that fight happens, you've got to take your hat off to him.
He got called out by Andre Ward, AJ. Would you rather see Jake fight AJ, which is obviously, as we know, a mismatch, or Andre Ward, who's been retired for, what, 4 years?
I'd much rather see AJ fight Tyson.
Oh, please. I dread to think how many times
we don't know if that's
going to
happen because the big man, he's filming, he's not made his mind up what he's going to do.
It is believed that Joshua will still face Fury in a highly anticipated match next year, even if he faces Paul in the contentious fight. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, said last week that they are aiming to make the fight happen, with Turki Al-Sheikh, chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, expected to help broker a deal between the parties. Al-Sheikh confirmed that Joshua is set to fight in February with plans to target Fury in 2026. Hearn revealed that their side deal was nearly finalized, though Warren stated that Fury will ultimately have the final decision. Warren said Tyson will make his decision about what he wants to do. All it's about with Tyson is does he want to do it and how much money. There's talk going on. The one to take it is Tyson, whether he wants to do it or not. If the offer is the right offer, he'll do it. Now, Ariel Helwani has shared his thoughts on the bout. Helwani rejected the notion that a fight between Paul and Joshua tarnishes Joshua's legacy, pointing out that legends such as Muhammad Ali and George Foreman also took part in so-called gimmick bouts. Ultimately, he emphasized it's still about prize fighting. However, Helwani expressed deep concern for Paul's health, pointing to Ngannou's experience and how he remained motionless for a significant period after being knocked out. He remarked, "I think the fair debate or discussion to have around Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is about safety. It is not hyperbole to say people die in boxing. Does this fight put Jake Paul at an excessive risk of serious damage?" He added, "I will never forget that Francis fight. Francis Ngannou had never been rocked, knocked down, or knocked out. He was out cold and not moving for what seemed like an eternity. That's scary stuff." Meanwhile, Jake Paul has boldly declared that he will defeat Anthony Joshua. Despite widespread criticism from the boxing community, Paul stays confident about his prospects against the two-time heavyweight champion. The bout has sparked controversy given Joshua's accolades in the sport and his clear weight advantage. Jake Joseph Paul, will knock out, defeat, and embarrass Anthony Joshua. On Friday, December 19th, live on Netflix, he declared on his official YouTube channel, making 3 promises. Joshua, sidelined since his devastating knockout defeat to Daniel Dubois in September 2024, sees this bout as a tune-up before his anticipated February return. As the fight approaches, several prominent voices have weighed in on the matchup. Rising heavyweight Moses Adama, in particular, has raised questions about why the American chose to take the bout. He said Jake Paul needs to fire his advisors. People that tell him to make these fights because that's not good. He continued, "Obviously, there's making money, but then at the same time, it's just absurd. I don't think Jake Paul's bad for boxing. I think he is good. I like Jake Paul. You see what he's doing with women's boxing as well, and I'm not saying he shouldn't take the fight." Despite the buzz, Paul is resolute in his mission to prove his doubters wrong once more. "This isn't an AI simulation. This is Judgment Day," he said. Jake added, "A professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears, and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title. To all my haters, this is what you wanted." So, that's all from today's video. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next.